नहीं रे तेरे बाप की है और तेरा बाप.
This is a review, a film review, not a trailer reaction.
No trailer reactions this time. We're doing, but even though we have done trailer reactions for KGF 1 and KGF 2 already, now popular demand, the movie Chapter 1. And I want to do this because the new one's going to come out soon.
Yes.
So it's a good time to suggest that people watch this and catch up. And in honor of, I'm wearing my Yash shirt.
Yash. Yes, rockin' Yash.
This is my favorite.
And before we get into it, thanks for commenting and liking and subscribing to all our Cinemondo YouTube videos. Keep it coming and keep the comments coming. We reply to 99% of all of them. So maybe even 100%. But we love
it's pretty much 100.
And we know that we're long overdue to do this review. I mean, I think KGF is actually the film that sort of opened our eyes to Indian cinema because commenter John Wick commented in one of our other non-Indian videos saying, hey, you should look into Indian cinema, and why don't you look at KGF? And so this how this all started, and from there it's just sort of snowballed, and we've been learning more and more every day about the different film industries, the different languages, the different stars, the directors, and how it all works, the glimpses, motion posters, teaser, it's a whole new world from what 6 months ago. If you asked me what Indian cinema was, I could talk about one or two films.
Yeah.
So, but now we know a lot more.
That's right. And, it's a new obsession. Like, I'm finding that some of these movies, like, I just crave them. I want to see them. They just have sort of a passion in them that's missing from a lot of cynical Hollywood movies that I really enjoy. So,
and there's
the obsession with these super hot, hero lead actors that they seem to be throwing my way. Thanks, guys.
And for me, the beautiful women that are also, in all these films, and some of the female-driven films that we're starting to be opened up to also. It's just a lot there, and the genres are great. We kind of are genre people, whether it's horror, sci-fi, or action, but we're also, and so there's a lot of that, but also the drama, the more serious stuff, the web series, Rocket Boys and Family Man, and on and on and on. So we keep saying it's opening a door to a whole new world for Kathy, Burke, and myself, and we really appreciate that. So, but it all started with this film.
Yep, KGF Chapter 1 is our entryway into this new obsession. So, we wanted to talk about KGF. Of course, it stars Yash. He comes in about, I think, 20 minutes, half hour into the film. It's sort of a big setup, a little bit of a confusing setup, I think, because it puts you right in the middle of the action. Bam, bam, bam. There's quick cuts. It almost feels like a trailer. Super fast. You're just going to keep up, people.
It feels like you're being dropped into a movie like halfway through a film. And for me, I was like, well, what's going on here? Because not only is it, multiple people talking and quick cuts, but of course, a lot of it, we have to read the subtitles, and that's just sort of like, okay, what's going on? And so for the first, I want to say the 15 minutes, I'm like, what is really happening here? There's a prime minister. Who's this other guy who wrote a book? Then there's a story about who's this other person who is, Yash's character. So it just sort of snowballs. But then we get into his past. So the author starts talking about Yash, Yash's character as a young boy and what happens to him. And then it's, even that is pretty intense and quick, but it starts to slow down, gear down a little bit once you actually see Yash come in, and then it sort of turns into something else. And that's when I think it really picks up.
It is. I mean, don't be thrown. Like, it is hard to keep up. You'll feel like, I don't understand this. I don't have the patience for this, because it is very fast, and they're asking you to, fill in a lot of the blanks, and a lot of it has to do with, culturally and historically, things we don't really know about. So you just have to sort of ease into it, just let it go, just let it flow. Because once like Yash comes on the scene, Rocky, and he's coming in, the man with, a few words, he kind of walks into the scene, and he doesn't have dialogue for a long time. He's just kicking major ass for like 30 minutes. It's very, it's a very John Wick film in that way, because it's a lot of violence back to back, and it's one person just annihilating crowds of people. So that's what he does. And I love that classic, they capture him They bring him to this warehouse where nothing ever good happens, right? They're going to hang him from the ceiling, by his arms, and they're just going to, each take a turn at him. And you're like, how's he going to escape this? Well, he does. Spoiler alert.
Well, he's Rocky. He's like you just tell from his, his face, his presence. He has this, Yash has, and the character Rocky has this presence that is so intimidating. Like he just, you can see he's a big guy, he's
serious business.
Yeah. And that early scene where he's sort of like, on the meat hooks, he's ready to be killed. It's like, well, obviously he's fun. But it's done. Also, it's done in a very, you sort of buy it. The guy is kind of like, has this incredible strength. He's going to get out of it. Just like John Wick. I mean, there are these John Wick similarities because John Wick is one guy against hundreds and he's beating everybody. So
and he has the long hair and the beard and, there's some similarities on a superficial level, but like in this film, there's a whole historical background that John Wick doesn't have. Right. And, John Wick is a gun for hire, whereas Rocky is trying to build his criminal empire. That's what I think is kind of funny too, because Yash is so charismatic that even though you don't know anything about him and you know about his childhood and he was a little thief and total degenerate, growing up, and he is basically a criminal.
He's an assassin.
You're totally on his side. Like, do it, man.
Well, that's what's called star power. You get behind. You see this movie for him and the sequel, which is coming out, I think, end of March. Yeah. You watch it because of not only you watch him because he's going to get out of this stuff.
That's right. Hi, that's right. I mean, would you mess with this guy? I don't think so. No. He's going to kick your ass. Yeah. It's funny though because the movie is very serious. Like it's very gritty and serious in the first I'd just say 45 minutes. Then it takes that weird turn when he meets this girl. He just basically kind of just meets her on the street, essentially. Right. And it's love at first sight, I guess, sort of. Then he starts acting very strange because you've not seen him act this way, very flirty and very, kind of dismissing her, but also kind of, wanting her to know he's into her, but not that into her. It was such a weird shift in tone.
Well, I think those shifts in tone are much more prevalent in the Masala sort of pan-Indian films, and this is what
humor part in. No matter how serious
we know as somebody in an Indian cinema, we know that there's going to be funny parts to the serious. There's going to be dancing, there's going to be music, there's going to be that kind of stuff, subplots that might seem kind of crammed in to a Western audience, like to my eyes, but it's not that's okay. That's what these films are, and the more you see of them, the more okay, this is part of what these films are. And obviously not all Indian films are like this. This is for a mass audience stuff. It's completely, but it fits into that. And the question is, how well can you do that? How well can you put in all these different sort of feels into a film and have it work? Yeah. And it works here, like once you get it, you get it. I guess that's the way I look at it. The first time
it's a tonal thing. It's like, it's not, if you're used to Western films like we are, we draw the comparisons because that's our background. Those are the films we know. We compare it to John Wick, but it's also very different from John Wick. John Wick didn't have, I don't think it had any humor, if any, like maybe a couple lines, but
no, and there's no music, there's no dancing. Yes.
These movies are long. They pack in a lot. You're seeing huge phases of Rocky's life. You see the whole half hour of the beginning of childhood. Then you see, you find out he made a promise. You come upon his entryway into the criminal world. Then you see him going, I could do this better. And then he's going to just take over. And he's even, he goes from breaking out to becoming the big power that in the beginning, all of a sudden you realize what's happening is that they're signing his death warrant because he's gotten too powerful. They got to get rid of this guy. He's just too much. He's running the gold, what's it? The gold mines, the
gold
fields.
KGF, mines. And so I think, as we said earlier, you sort of, the first 20 minutes for me seem a little bit too unnecessarily busy. And that's, if I have a fault with the film, I feel like some people go, I'm going to give I do this sometimes. I'm going to give a movie 15 minutes. If it doesn't catch me, I'm turning it off. And if I didn't know what this film was, I just sort of happened upon, I said, what is going on here? Forget it, But after 20 minutes, half hour, and I do like the fact that they do talk about him as a kid, or what happened to him and his mother and all those horrible things. I like that. I like background stories, but it just seemed like, instead of starting in fifth gear, maybe start in first.
I know it's true. Cause I mean, this movie is a monster. Like it's huge and epic and tons of violence, and Yash is so charismatic and he just dominates every scene, but you don't get to see that until like half hour into the film.
Right.
And so I feel like there's a little bit of impatience with that, even though, I mean, God, the cuts, the cuts on the first half of that are so fast. Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
You're having to get into this storyline and figure out the journalism line and the government line and then you finally get into the meat of the story. Which I wanted to see was the criminal enterprise, being taken over. Right. That's the great stuff. And then you want to see the action. I want to see this. I want to see him in the cool jacket with the guns walking around shooting.
And you see it. And the thing is, that's my point. It's like, okay, just get past that first 20 minutes, a half hour, whatever it is. And then it slides into what you want to see. And then the movie is, 2.5 hours long. You get plenty of action, plenty of special effects, plenty of kick-ass stuff, choreography. It's all there. Mm-hmm. Just, you have to sort of put yourself in the movie and go, okay, let it happen. And then there's a lot of backfill. You sort of get it. You after a while, you understand what happens. So overall, it's just a really fun way for us as, the three Cinemondoites to get into Indian cinema, that type of masala Indian film, pan-Indian film. And there's a lot like that. We review a lot of those trailers and stuff because we know those are very popular. Yeah. And we like them. We are genre people. We are action fans,
I'm not an art house. I'm not a super art house drama person. I mean, I want to be one of those cinephiles that's very lofty, but I like this fun stuff. I just do.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we started doing this. It's genre films. And we love, I mean, I like all kinds of movies, and I like you just recently watched The Lunchbox, completely different film.
Oh, so
beautiful, good. Sweet. Beautiful. And there's a lot of films like that,
They catch me off guard sometimes because I don't think I like those movies, and then I watch them and I go, that was so good.
Yeah, no, I love them too. And it just depends on your mood. Sometimes you want, you've got your 65-inch TV at home. You say, I want to see something that looks big and crazy and loud. I want to crank it up.
Yeah, I don't want to be emotionally affected by anything. But what I liked about it too, this is a comment that I keep remembering. So whoever has said this, good job. That they said this KGF isn't just a movie; it's a emotion. So this isn't just about filmmaking and the characters or the actors. This is about like an overall arching feeling, and the passion and the rage and the joy even that's in this movie. It's more about depicting that almost than anything else. And so it really does deliver the passion and the craziness for sure.
And people have told us that, and there's a big Indian community in Los Angeles area, and we have said that we want to go see maybe KGF Chapter 2 at the theater. Of course, COVID has slowed things down, but those
I got to see this on the big screen, right? The lighting of the cigarette, the gun.
Exactly. I mean, that's awesome. And the thing is, I think when we were told, if you go to a theater filled with Indian people watching an Indian film, the emotion from that's what it's about. So you're feeling the emotion of people, laughing, crying, getting excited, all that kind of stuff. So it's we can't wait to do that. We still plan on doing it. It's just waiting till we feel most comfortable going into a movie theater. And that's
there's two movies that I want to see in the theater and waiting. And they might be the first ones since the pandemic. RRR and KGF 2. Yeah. Those are the two I got to see.
And I think RRR is coming out in April.
Okay.
And I think KGF 2 is end of March. I might be wrong on the release dates, but it's coming.
Going to make the trek. Yes. Good.
So if you haven't seen it, it's available on Amazon Prime here in the United States, and it's enjoy it because that's what it's all about. And really don't get flustered by the first 15 minutes.
Just don't. No, be patient. It'll be worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, I keep saying, but please comment, like, and subscribe. We really appreciate that. Keep them coming. Our channel is growing, and we love
your suggestions. That's how we decide which movies to do, is we get suggestions from you guys. So be sure and let us know what you want us to cover. We will do it.
Please do that.
See you next time.
Take care, everybody. So long. See ya. Bye. another
Bye.
Cinemondo episode. This one